Good evening. There's an article over on the New York Post. I encourage everyone to go check it out. It says, I breastfeed my 7 dolls and care for them like they're real babies. I don't care what haters think. It's an article about a woman named Kelly Cunningham who is 27 years old, and she has 7 of these reborn dolls. If you're not familiar with that, reborn dolls are pretty much these terrifying dolls that are supposed to look lifelike. And some of them are incredibly lifelike, and others just are something out of nightmares. Why am I talking about this? There are women out there who are going to end up in a similar situation like this. This woman has 27,000 followers on TikTok. Good for her. But this woman also really wants to be a mom. Desperately. And I don't know why, but she has no children. Maybe she has no partner. I'm not really sure. But this is terrifying. Because half of women by 2030 are going to be childless. We've never seen that in the history of the world. And this is in the United States. 45% of women are expected to be single and childless by 2030. 2030. That's 6 years away. That is 6 years. What's going to be happening soon is there are going to be people, men and women, but I'll get to the men's side in a minute. The women who don't have kids or any husband or anything like that, they're going to end up like this woman, and they're going to purchase dolls, and they are going to treat them as if they are real children, and they are going to gaslight themselves into believing that this is a real child because they so desperately wanted kids. A lot of these people who online say, oh, I don't want kids, I never wanted kids, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I would argue that 80% of these individuals who say that they don't want kids actually did want children, but just Father Time kind of kicked in, or things just didn't work out for them romantically and they weren't able to find a partner. There's going to be more women like this. And that is absolutely so sad. I don't wish that upon anyone. This woman, mental illness is real. And I believe this woman is doing it partially for views and for followers and for fame. But I also believe there's some mental illness here. I'm going to read from the article a little bit. She bought a reborn doll for her 27th birthday and says she quickly felt her maternal instincts kick in. So she bought this doll for herself, for her. Quote, I just couldn't help but want to take care of for Jennifer like a real child, Cunningham, now 29, told caterers of her beloved lifelike doll. I can't explain how it happened, but I suddenly got so attached to her and spent that week buying her clothes and eventually her own bed that sits next to the end of my bed in my room. I don't say this to make fun of this woman. I genuinely feel bad for her. This woman needs a hug. This woman has really no one in her life. She desperately wants children and she just doesn't have them. This is going to be a trend in the future. I'm not saying this to fearmonger. I'm not saying this as a scare tactic. Most of my audience is women when it comes to my podcast. I will say this. Ladies, do not end up like this woman. Please. For your own sake. Please. This woman is not much older than me. I'm 25. And this woman is in such a state of sadness and despair that she has now convinced herself and is training her mind to think that these 7 children are actual children. That's the road she's going down. Don't end up like this. This is the future. We think we can just have a society filled with childless women. We think we can have a society filled with childless men. It's not going to work out. We think we can have a society where I just want to focus on me. I don't need any romantic partner. I don't need a spouse. I don't need a boyfriend, girlfriend. I'm just going to do me. You are not wired for that. I don't care what your race is. I don't care what your ethnicity is. I don't care what your culture is. We are wired to pair bond. Whatever you want to call it. Spouse up, get married, whatever you want to call it. That's how we are wired. In Genesis, God looks down at Adam and he says, "It is not good that man is alone." The creator of all things looked down at his own creation and said, that's something that needs to be fixed. That's something that cannot continue. Adam cannot stay by himself. So what did God do? He made for Adam a helpmeet. He made him a spouse. He got him a wife. You're not wired to be by yourself. It's in our DNA. It is in our DNA. You can deny it all you want to. I'm not saying that all people should be married and have children. I'm not saying that. Most people should. That would be a good thing. There are other women out there like this woman, and there will be many more like her. That is terrifying. On the male side, they're deciding to get, I'll just call them adult dolls. You guys know what I mean by that, because I can't say what I would like to say on TikTok. But we're trying to fill a void that can't be filled. You can't substitute a spouse. You can't substitute a child. My wife and I, we have a dog. That we don't treat it like a kid. It's a dog. You can have all the plants you want. You can have all the dogs you want. You can have all the cats you want. It's not going to fill that void. It just isn't. I'm not saying you're a bad person if you don't have kids. I'm not saying you're a bad person if you don't have a spouse. What I am saying is you're going to pay in the future. Your future self is going to wish that your past self, that your current self, made different decisions. If you want to go the child-free route, you can. It is incredibly unwise. Unwise, and just for you as a person, that's unwise. And for society at large, that's unwise. We're going to start seeing, I was just speaking to my wife about this, we're going to start seeing schools close down because there's no kids. Fewer buses on the street because there's fewer kids to bus. Empty playgrounds because there's fewer kids. Pop Warner, children's sports, that stuff is going to go away because we're having less kids. This stuff matters, folks. You can laugh at Kelly all you want to. I'm not laughing at her. I genuinely feel bad for her. I genuinely do. Don't end up like this woman. It is not good for man to be alone. It is not good for a woman to be alone. We're made to procreate. These dolls are not the answer. That adult doll is not the answer. These AI boyfriends and girlfriends are not the answer. You need to think wisely, you guys. This is where we're headed. Don't be on this list.